So it's 2025 and you've decided to embark on the journey of becoming a web developer, but you're not quite sure where to begin. If that sounds like you, then you're in the right place because in this video, I'm going to break down all the exact steps you need to take and give you practical tips and insights to become a web developer in 2025. Let's dive right in. To begin your journey into web development, there are two essential yet often overlooked skills that can significantly enhance your experience as a developer. The first one is basic computer literacy, and the second one is touch typing. As far as basic computer literacy goes, having a good foundation in computer literacy is important. You should be comfortable performing tasks such as finding, downloading, installing, and troubleshooting software. Web development often requires setting up various tools and softwares to create an optimal development environment. For example, you may need to download a code editor, install a version control tool like Git, and so on and so forth. Being able to efficiently navigate these processes will save you time and frustration, allowing you to focus more on coding and less on setup. On top of that, troubleshooting skills will come in handy. Whether you're trying to resolve installation errors or configuring your system to work with new tools like virtual machines, knowing how to search for solutions and applying these fixes is an important part of a developer's toolkit. Touch typing is another underrated skill that can dramatically boost your productivity. As a developer, you'll spend a significant amount of time typing code, navigating through tutorials, and writing documentation. By learning to type quickly and accurately without looking at the keyboard, you can finish tasks more efficiently and maintain your focus on content rather than your hands. For instance, touch typing can help you to speed up your debugging processes and complete tutorials faster. Over time, this skill will help you to develop a natural flow, making your coding sessions more fun and productive. Learning how to touch type should take you a maximum of 2 to 3 weeks. By mastering these two foundational skills, you'll set yourself up for a smoother and more efficient learning experience as you dive into web development. Web development can generally be broken down into two main areas: front-end development and back-end development. There are of course other equally important fields in web development, but when starting out you don't have to worry about those. Front-end development is all about creating the parts of a website or a web application that users see and interact with directly, while backend development focuses on behind the scenes. It involves managing the server, database, and the logic that powers the application. A person who specializes in front-end development is called a front-end developer. A person who specializes in backend development is called a backend developer, and a person who specializes in both front-end and backend development is called a full-stack developer. As a beginner, it's a good idea to start with front-end development to understand the visual and interactive aspect of websites. Once you're comfortable with the basics, you can jump to backend development to learn how the server side works, and then eventually you can combine these two skills to become a full-stack developer. When starting with front-end web development, the first thing to learn is HTML. HTML defines the structure of web pages and is very easy to learn and understand. With just 2 hours of daily practice, you can gain a solid understanding of HTML within 5 days. The next thing to learn is CSS. CSS helps style your web pages by defining how elements look, including their colors, fonts, layouts, spacing, and a whole lot of other things. It allows you to make your website visually appealing and responsive, ensuring it looks good on different devices. With just 2 to 3 hours of daily learning and practice, you can get good at CSS within 2 to 3 weeks. After learning CSS, it's a great idea to learn a CSS framework, though it's not mandatory. CSS frameworks can significantly speed up the process of building web pages and help maintain consistency across your designs, among other benefits. There are several options to choose from, including Bulma, Materialize, Tailwind CSS, Bootstrap, and Foundation. I recommend starting with Bootstrap and Tailwind CSS because they take different approaches to styling. Bootstrap provides a set of pre-styled components that follow a consistent design pattern. This makes it easy to create websites with a uniform look and feel, but can result in websites looking similar. Tailwind CSS, on the other hand, offers utility classes that allow developers to style elements directly in the HTML. This provides more flexibility and customization options, resulting in unique and personalized designs. All the other CSS frameworks will follow one of the two approaches, making it easier to learn other CSS frameworks. You should take a maximum of 4 weeks to get comfortable at Bootstrap and Tailwind. Once you're comfortable with HTML, CSS, and a CSS framework, it's time to add a crucial skill to your developer toolkit: version control. Version control is an essential practice in web development and software engineering that helps you manage changes to your code efficiently. If you're coming from another programming field, you might already be familiar with this concept. However, if you're new to development, version control allows you to track changes to your code, collaborate effectively with others on the same project, and experiment safely in your projects. The most widely used version control system today is Git, and platforms like GitHub, GitLab, and Bitbucket provide cloud-based repositories to store and share your projects. Learning version control early in your journey will not only make your workflow smoother, but also prepare you for real-world development scenarios where collaborative coding and maintaining project history are non-negotiable skills. With 2 to 3 hours of daily learning and practice, you should take a maximum of 3 weeks to be comfortable at version control. There are several tools in this area, but the most essential ones to master are Git and GitHub. With Git and GitHub in place, the next thing to learn is Markdown. Markdown is a lightweight markup language that is very simple to learn and is used to create formatted text using plain text. This is what you'll be using to tell other developers what a project on GitHub is about and how to get started with the project. You will even be using it to provide instructions to your fellow developers and sometimes even in writing blogs and documentations. Markdown is very simple and straightforward to learn and use, and you should take a maximum of 2 hours to be comfortable using it. The next and very important step in your journey is learning JavaScript. This is where you will truly start advancing as a developer. JavaScript is a programming language for the web that adds dynamic functionality and interactivity to your web pages. For instance, with JavaScript, you can make buttons respond to clicks, create interactive forms with instant validation, build engaging user interfaces with animations and transitions, and a whole lot of other things. Mastering JavaScript opens the door to more advanced development, including working with frameworks like React and even venturing into backend development with tools like Node.js. The best way to learn JavaScript is by solving as many problems as you can with the language. Practice is key to building your problem-solving skills and deepening your understanding of core concepts. For beginners, platforms like Edabit and CodeWars are excellent starting points as far as solving problems is concerned. By dedicating 2 to 3 hours of daily learning and practice, you can build a solid foundation in JavaScript and become more comfortable using it within 5 weeks. With all the previous skills in place, the next step is to learn a front-end framework. Front-end frameworks simplify the process of building complex user interfaces by providing features like reusable components, efficient state management, and tools for handling dynamic data, among other things. These frameworks help you write cleaner, more maintainable code and make your development process faster and more efficient. Mastering a front-end framework will enable you to build scalable, modern web applications. There are several front-end frameworks today, but the most popular ones are React, Angular, Vue, and Svelte. I highly recommend that you pick React as it is beginner-friendly and is the most popular. You'll only need 4 to 6 weeks of daily learning and practice to become good at a front-end framework. Once you become good at a front-end framework of your choice, the next important step is learning what's known as a meta framework. A meta framework is essentially a framework built on top of a framework, offering additional features, enhancements, and tools to streamline your development. For example, in React we have Next.js, in Vue there is Nuxt.js, and so on and so forth. While learning a meta framework is optional, being good in one can be a significant advantage, especially when it comes to job hunting and showcasing your skills. These meta frameworks help optimize and enhance your development experience by providing built-in solutions for tasks such as routing, server-side rendering, and performance improvements. Understanding and leveraging these frameworks can boost your productivity, improve scalability, and help you build more powerful applications. At this point, you already have a solid foundation to call yourself a front-end web developer, ready to take the next steps towards back-end development. However, before diving into the back-end, it's crucial to learn TypeScript. Building on your knowledge of JavaScript, TypeScript provides a smoother, more structured development experience. It adds type safety, making your code easier to maintain and debug, especially in larger projects. Learning TypeScript and applying it to build websites should take no more than 3 weeks of consistent practice. When it comes to backend development, you need a programming language and you can choose from several different programming languages. For beginners, I recommend starting with JavaScript for backend development as it allows you to use the same language across the entire stack. This also simplifies your learning process by letting you skip the extra step of learning a separate language specifically for backend development. Of course, as you progress, you can always explore other languages based on system requirements or specific project needs. Once you've chosen a language that you'll be using for the backend, you'll need a backend framework. Just as the frontend has frameworks like React, Angular, and Vue, the backend has options like Node.js for JavaScript, Django or Flask for Python, ASP.NET for C#, Spring for Java, and so on. Since you already know JavaScript, I recommend going with Node.js. You'll also need to learn Express.js as it works seamlessly with Node.js and simplifies tasks such as routing, writing APIs, and so on and so forth. It's like a meta framework for Node.js. In summary, if you choose JavaScript for backend development, focus on learning Node.js and Express.js. With consistent learning and practice, it should take you up to 4 weeks to become comfortable with these technologies. After learning a programming language and its backend framework, the next step is selecting a database to manage your application's data. Databases can be broadly categorized into two types: relational databases, also known as SQL databases, and non-relational databases, also known as NoSQL databases. Relational databases, such as MySQL and PostgreSQL, organize data into tables with rows and columns and use structured query language for querying and managing the data. Non-relational databases, on the other hand, like MongoDB and Cassandra, store data in formats such as key-value pairs, documents, graphs, and so on. I recommend being familiar with both types of databases. For relational databases, a great starting point is PostgreSQL, and for non-relational databases, MongoDB is an excellent choice to start with. Databases are complex, but understanding the fundamental concepts needed to start using them in your applications typically takes no more than 2 weeks of dedicated learning. Once you've understood databases, the next step is learning object relational mapping, a technique that allows you to interact with a database using an object-oriented approach instead of writing raw SQL queries. ORMs are typically libraries in your programming language that handle database operations, making it easier to manage and manipulate data. For example, popular ORMs include SQL Alchemy for Python, Hibernate for Java, Entity Framework for C#, and Prisma or Drizzle for JavaScript. If you're a JavaScript developer, I recommend starting with Prisma because it's beginner-friendly, easy to use, and simplifies complex database operations with minimal setup. With 2 to 3 hours of daily learning and practice, you should be comfortable using an object relational mapper within 1 week. By now, you have the basic skills needed to become a backend developer. In fact, you can already build and launch full-stack web applications. However, there are other important skills you can learn at your own pace to help you grow from a good developer to a great one. The first thing is Backend as a Service. Backend as a Service is a cloud-based solution that provides you with ready-to-use backend services so you can focus more building the front-end or business logic of your applications. With Backend as a Service, you don't have to build and manage the server infrastructure, including databases, authentication systems, and APIs from scratch. Instead, you use pre-built tools and services that handle these functionalities. There are several Backend as a Service providers, but Firebase and Supabase are excellent starting points. Another important skill to have is implementing authentication and security. Authentication and security are crucial for protecting user data and ensuring only authorized users can access your application. You can learn to implement security and authentication in your web applications from scratch, but you can also use third-party providers including Firebase Auth, Supabase Auth, OAuth, and Clark. Security and authentication is a huge topic on itself, but learning the basics to make sure your app meets industry security standards should not take you more than 3 weeks. Containerization is another important skill to learn. It's a way to package an application along with everything it needs, like code, libraries, and settings into one unit called a container. Containers make sure your app runs the same way on any system, whether it's your computer or a server or even a cloud. Think of a container like a shipping box. No matter where it goes, everything inside stays the same. This ensures your app works consistently no matter where it's being used. Containerization is especially useful for deployment and team collaboration. While there are several tools available, the most popular one to focus on is Docker. Learning containerization basics should take you no more than 2 weeks. You should also be familiar with design patterns. Design patterns are proven solutions to common problems in software development. Design patterns help you write clean, reusable, and efficient code while making it easier for teams to understand and maintain that code. Some popular design patterns include singleton, factory, and observer, among others, each addressing specific challenges in structuring and organizing code. Learning these patterns will improve your problem-solving skills and help you build scalable and robust applications. Start with the basics, and as you gain experience, you can explore more advanced patterns and when to use them. You should also learn data structures and algorithms, as they are the backbone of efficient problem-solving in software development. Data structures like arrays, linked lists, stacks, queues, and trees help organize and store data, while algorithms provide step-by-step methods to solve specific problems. Understanding these concepts will not only improve your coding skills, but also help you write optimized and scalable applications. Start with the basics like sorting and searching algorithms and gradually move to more advanced topics like graph traversal and dynamic programming. Mastering these skills will make you a better developer and prepare you for coding interviews. On top of data structures and algorithms, learn system design as it helps you to understand how to build scalable, reliable, and efficient software systems. System design focuses on breaking down large applications into smaller, manageable components and determining how these components interact. Key concepts include designing databases, load balancing, caching, and handling large-scale traffic. Learning system design will give you the skills you need to create software that can grow with user demand while maintaining performance. Start with small-scale designs and gradually explore distributed systems and real-world architectures to strengthen your understanding. There you go. These are the key skills you need to become a web developer in 2025. Of course, there are other skills you can learn along the way, but this can be picked up as you work with different technologies. Don't feel the need to learn everything at once. Remember the Pareto principle. 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. Focus on mastering that core 20% and you'll be able to achieve 80% of what you need to succeed. My name is Dennis, and I help you master programming and problem solving through practical projects and tutorials. If you enjoyed this content, consider liking and subscribing.